Today's podcast is with Miss Ari Chambers, who works 9 to 5, although it's not technically 9 to 5, with Bleacher Report, but an all-around badass on Twitter. That's how I found her. Like a handful of people that I follow her and are constantly interacting with her. Finally clicked on her profile. Love what she's talking about. She's constantly talking about, at least recently, constantly talking about the WNBA, women's sports period, and love her take on where content can go. I thought she had coined the phrase the Wubble, the WNBA bubble. She says maybe she didn't, maybe she did. But a great conversation in general. What can these athletes be creating while they're in this Wubble? How can they take advantage? Where can content creation go in the future? What are some reasons why some content creation is not being done now? So as usual, we're heavy on content creation. We hope you enjoy this episode. But first, let me remind you that this podcast, like every other podcast, is brought to you by Our City Coffee. I'm drinking some Black Cherry Sunrise right now. Delicious. Use our code BS at ourcitycoffee.com. That's the code BS at ourcitycoffee.com. Enjoy the show. Boom. And we're live. Ari, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
From Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm in Los Angeles. Tim's in Oakland. We're all over the country here today. I appreciate you. Tim was like, how did you get in contact? How did you start talking to her? And I just see you everywhere. We're talking about sports. You're everywhere. And I think I just followed you within the last month or something. But you're always involved in conversations. Who's this Ari girl? Who's this Ari? So I know you know your stuff. And I said, let's have a conversation.
Why did it take you till just last month to follow me? We could have been interweb buddies for like a while now.
I know, right? I don't know why. For whatever reason, I hit that follow button finally. But I'd recognized your little icon or something a couple of times. That's where it came across. And then I probably went to your page and was like, all right, what's she really about? Let me look. All right, cool.
That's usually the brand sell anyways. You got to see something like up to 6 times before you buy something. So he bought on that 6th time.
He finally took it to my page and was like, she's worth it. We'll give her a follow.
Yeah, exactly. So you're like, if not the most active, one of the most active people I follow now, but you're all over this WNBA Wubble. Did you coin this phrase, by the way? Is this your deal?
I don't know. I feel like, okay, so I thought of it one day and tweeted it, but apparently John, because I want to give her his flowers, if he did it before me, so I can't take credit for it. I might have subconsciously processed it and then just said it a couple of days later, so I can't take credit for that one.
All right, fair. Anyway, but you're all over it. You're talking about it. The WNBA relaunch. They're now teams have been there. Teams are still trickling in players, and some are still undecided, and blah blah blah. But where do you see this? Where do you see opportunities in the Wubble, as you call it? Where do you see opportunities for athletes? And again, what we talk about a lot is athlete branding and opportunities. Where do you see some opportunities that are going to be different than if it was just a regular season type deal?
So they're all in one site, right? They have an isolation situation that's unprecedented where there's no media involved at all. We're all virtual, like we're Zooming them. They have cell phones. They can connect to YouTube, Twitter, and they can do the content themselves. I know my friend Lexi Brown, she plays for Minnesota. She's already started her vlogs, and so has Izzy B, who plays for Dallas. So there are ample opportunities to tell your story your way because media doesn't have access to the players like they would previously. And the fact that they don't have to travel. So that takes a lot of time away from the waste of time having to go back and forth and, all that chaos. They can sit there and focus on, occupying their time in other ways. And so it just gives a great opportunity to vlog it their way, to document things their way, to post on Instagram, TikTok. You see Washington Mystics over here doing TikToks. I think it's hilarious because Maisha Hines-Allen, she's a newer player going into her 3rd year, but she's a rookie, and her, Emma Meeseman, and Ariel Atkins are doing hilarious TikToks, and that's just another way to get yourself out there for fans who don't normally know you. Just connect with the personality. So there are definitely little tidbits around there that they can, make an online presence, and I think that's dope.
Yeah, I love it too because it's now you're in like you said, the access is limited. You're almost in a forced position. You got to do this, but this is what we always try to get athletes to do anyway. You should be vlogging. You should be doing this. You should be showing personality. There's not what I love about women in sports is they seem to be better than the men, generally speaking, at telling their stories and being personable and being out there. Generally speaking, again, there's some guys that are phenomenal at it, NBA players, other sports too. But it feels like the ladies are like, hey, this is me. They're more apt to be that instead of just be like the cool dude doing pictures and you're showing the game fits or whatever. So I love that. I'd like to see more, though. I've only seen I saw Lexi. I follow her. We follow each other. We were talking the other day about some other stuff. But I've seen Lexi. I'd like to see more. It should be – everybody should be doing it, I think.
Well, see, I think that right now they're still in a position where they don't know what's going on. So they just got there July 6th. It's, the 10th now. So now they're getting in the swing of things, knowing how the Wubble is, and training camp just started. Like, they have to settle in before they, can make time to give us content. Like, that would, like, they're there to play basketball. They're there to do what they love to do. And all the rest is extraneous. But it enhances your whole persona, like, as an athlete. But right now, I think that they're still worried about traveling. Full teams aren't even down there yet. So once that gets, settled, I'm sure they're going to want to tell their stories their way, because a lot of times you see the media skewing things. Mm-hmm. And I think that the players are now realizing they can take control of things and tell it their way. So it's just that realization, but it's just a matter of getting to the site, knowing the way of, things. People had to switch rooms and things like. There's a lot that was going on the first week.
Yeah. I get.
You don't look out for it.
Yeah, but how good is that? Like the process of that. Like, I'm going there. I have to go. I fly from.
If my room is messed up, I'm not about to be filming it. Like, I'm gonna be calling the league office. Like, hey, I need to switch rooms. But no, you're content. The way we look at it, right? We're content people. So I'm like, ooh, this is juicy. This is great. I always tell Lexi, like, I love mess. Like, show me everything. But I think they will. I think they'll get it together because, especially with quarantine, they've learned the importance of being connected socially to, like, online too. So a lot of them are better at TikTok than I ever will be. A lot of them have had to learn how to really utilize their online presence during the quarantine and things like that. So I think it will carry over.
Yeah. Going to your point on that of, like, showing those, like, mishaps of, like, moving in type of thing. You get, like, J.R. Smith didn't have a sheet on his bed, right? Did you see that? And he was laughing.
He was like, get out.
Yeah.
That's great. So, but I saw, I don't remember who posted it at the Wubble, and it was like the laundry room looked kind of weak, and that's what blew up. And then I saw Lexi, like, focus on the positive things.
Yeah, so that's why I said I think it's better for them to get settled, because women are in a unique position where they oftentimes get ignored unless some real mess happens, like some messy mess happens. And I hate that that's what's been picked up so much, because like the players sent it to the journalists who released it to the public. Cool, that's one side of it, but you're not seeing the other side. I thought it was dope when Allie Quigley showed her villa with Gabby, Stephanie, and Courtney. Like, that's another side of it. It's just women don't have the luxury all the time to show every aspect, because people so much want to capitalize off of, like, women failing. I think that's what it is, like, an interesting way to look at it. So, those who were – I feel like that video was released because either they weren't being heard or it was just, like, unacceptable that happened. But I wouldn't necessarily want to see too many negative things coming out the Wubble, because they have a chance to kind of sway people in the right direction to support the W, as opposed to just, here's what's wrong with us. We have to, fight against the grain all the time.
Yeah. No, I agree. I thought it was kind of, I don't know who the player who put it out. I don't know if we know that. I don't know if we know the person, period.
We know it, and she owned up to it, but she just wanted to showcase, like, what was going on. But I don't think anybody realized how many outlets that never cover the W would pick it up, and it just became this chaotic mess. But that's no fault to her at all. But I'm just saying, like, I just feel like when it comes to women, it's like a, showcase as much as you want to showcase, but tread lightly, because you see how much people really latch on to the negativity.
Yeah. I get that. They're looking for, like you said, a reason. Mostly dudes. Yeah, being like, see, women, the WNBA is nowhere near the NBA, and just to, like, play that game. But I really think it's over the last year, 2 years, we've seen working with people is people want to work with female athletes.
Oh, yeah.
And more so than ever, and putting them as the face of their of their companies and brands, and for more reasons than one. More there's like long-term longevity with a lot more females than males. You don't have to worry about like issues coming up. They're not going to do the dumb thing that a lot of guys will do. But and now with everything going on social injustice wise, or at least it's coming to light again for the millionth time, but really some actions coming, specifically minority women, is going to be such a marketable place just from a branding marketing perspective. I love what Tasha Cloud and Renee Montgomery and all these other ladies are doing. If they want to sit out or not sit out, I'm not saying whether that's the best move branding wise for them. And I know they didn't do it for branding, but I love that they're passionate about it and they've stayed the course, and it will help them brand wise long term.
Yeah, I just think that as Black women, it's really important to speak out now against the injustices. I love what Natasha's doing. Like, she's setting a precedent with how to brand yourself, because, I mean, like, look at her story. Dope, from a mid-major, went to the WNBA. Coach T turned her into a WNBA champion. And then she became the first WNBA player to sign to Converse. And now they're paying her full salary to do what she's passionate about. I think that's a dope story. You have those who go under the radar, like Kelsey Bones. She was in the WNBA, and she kept kneeling beyond when it was cool to kneel. So she was kneeling years after. And I think that's like another way to bring yourself, like knowing that you're going to kneel for what's right and not necessarily have to be flashy, but people will pick up on it. But I think that when it comes to activism, especially when you're an athlete, the energy there, you have a unique way a unique opportunity, because your platform is already so big. And then with the WNBA being 80% Black women anyway, you have the support, you have the strength in numbers. So collectively, I think they have the potential to just take over and really lead the social justice front like they have been doing for years now. They're literally the ones who lead everything, even though they might not get all the credit.
Yeah, no doubt. And there's some NBA guys too that do it, but I think, it's not hard to speak out against social injustice, especially now when Colin Kaepernick was doing it. It was a different time where he got a lot of flack.
But the Lynx were the ones who really were like on the forefront of the I Can't Breathe and the blacking out of the warm-ups, and the Liberty were some prominent ones too. You have Maya Moore, who left basketball at the peak of her career, and I'm so glad people are talking about it now, even though she's been doing it for years for the prison reform. Like, that's something she has been focusing on for a long time, and then just felt that it was so necessary that she took a step away from, after being a multi-champion. And she was still young. She's still young now. But at the height of her career, she stepped away for what's right. And I think that that's a way to organically brand yourself, because she didn't have to put it out there in the most flashy way. Her work spoke for itself.
Well, see, the two things you just said there. One, I didn't know about the Maya Moore sitting out until, I don't know, a week ago. When
crazy. I've known about it since before she got out, and I just don't understand how people didn't. That's a huge thing.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't know about it either until about a week or two ago.
Yeah,
he's been working on Jonathan Irons at least for 6 years. I know it's longer than that because she's known him for longer, but I remember listening to a podcast in 2014 about it. So she's just been on this for a while.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that, and that would never happen with an NBA player, even though they make gobs more money. But I love stuff like that where they say, "Hey, I'm gonna do this. Is important to me, and I'm gonna do it." Whatever that is, whatever your thing is, if it's important to you and you do it, I love that. I also didn't know, you're telling me that the Washington Mystics were ahead of all this. To me, it was LeBron and the Miami Heat, because that's what I saw on ESPN.
So the Lynx, they were like notorious for being the first ones in the W to do it. But yeah, no,
love
the Lynx were. Then it was funny because back in 2016, that was before it was cool to do. So the league initially tried to find them, but then overturned it after listening to the players. But they were willing to risk their money to stand up for what's right. And I think that that's just a testament to how dope they really are.
I love that stuff. I see.
Yeah, I feel that like the WNBA and NBA, specifically the commissioner, like Kathy and Adam, I feel have a pretty good pulse on like the community in real life, like who actually is in the NBA and who's in the community and their actual thought process. And I think they listen a lot more than other commissioners and leagues do. Because
sure.
I mean, I know Kathy's newer than Adam Silver, but I don't think I've ever heard anything bad about Adam Silver. You know, like
I love Adam. I think he's a great guy. He's just like genuine.
Says that.
Guy.
Yeah.
And I love what Kathy's doing for the league. I would say almost though. I mean, granted, nothing's taken away from the two commissioners because I would put them against anybody else. But I think that the real catalyst for change is just the players being so unapologetic with them. I think it's player driven. I think that it's literally not like a matter of the commissioner needing to step in for anything because the players are going to do what they want to do regardless. They've been very, very vocal about it. Look what's happening with Kelly Loeffler. I don't want to give her any more attention because she just created a platform for herself that wouldn't exist without, her ignorant comments. But players are like, get her out. And they're not worried about, oh, God, we play for this person. They're just like, get her out because there's no place for her in the league. Yeah. And I think that type of audacity is just dope.
Yeah. And you're talking about one of the owners of the –
I think you're right. It's players, sure. But the ability for the commissioners to sit back and go, listen, we know that you're the driving force. I'm just going to sit back and listen, and then I'll make, an educated decision is where it is,
Yeah, and you were talking about she's one of the owners of the Atlanta Dream. She came out, and I don't remember specifically what she said, but she said she was like, basically after Black Lives Matter movement. Like, this is going to be a distraction. We don't want this part of this.
Already problematic, then allegedly did some insider trading situations, but then called Black people with guns a mob. And that was like before this whole, I don't want Black Lives Matter on the courts because it's distracting and blah, blah, blah. It's just thing after thing after thing. But she's been problematic for years. Yeah. Her take on a lot of things are just misaligned with what the W is. And that's another reason, like, why would you want to keep the team? She says she's not stepping away from the team. I'm just like, why would you want to keep them? So that's just a mess.
I think that could be a Donald Sterling type situation where they just are like, you need to get out. We'll buy you out. You have to get rid of it league-wise. Because there's two reasons that leagues have to change. It's players or dollars. So it's FedEx going to the Washington football team and saying, you can't call yourself the Redskins anymore, or we're pulling out. Which
is funny because now they're launching an investigation when the money talks. But I remember years and years where they were saying your name is problematic and nothing was done. So that's just it.
Yeah, I mean but that's how it goes. It's money, or your players revolt and say, "Hey, we're not doing this anymore." We're from Cleveland, Ohio, where the Cleveland Indians are, and we would go to games. I remember being 8 and going to games, and there'd be Native Americans protesting the opener. And it's, this has been going on. I'm 36. It's at least 30 years. I'm sure it's been forever since forever the team started. But now there's money talking and players talking, and that's where the change occurs.
Yeah, and Amazon and Nike has pulled the Washington Redskins jerseys and apparel. Yeah. You can't even buy those now.
Yeah.
And Daniel Snyder, the owner, is finally going to have to do something, even though he said we'll never change. We'll never do anything different.
That was like 5-6 years ago. He said we'll never change. Yeah, we'll never change.
Yeah. When they pull those dollars.
Yeah.
Let me reconsider.
That's real quick. Yeah.
That's the game, though. Like, it's either your players or your dollars. That's the people that affect it. And dollars could be fans and that kind of thing too. But it's interesting. What do you think? So here's some ideas I had. I told you I was going to pitch you some ideas. I like the vlogging in the Wubble. I like the TikToks, if TikTok's still going to be available here.
Yeah.
I know. I like the fun, the silly, the intense when it needs to be intense here in a couple of weeks. And I love how the style of this whole thing is going to work out. But there's a couple things. One, I'd love to see a podcast, a player or 5 or 10 people start their own podcast while we're in there. What's going on? How are they, like, practice-wise? Just in general, I like athlete podcasts. You can, same thing like a vlog. You control your message. You can get out what you want to get out. You're building brand depth with your community. You're also giving them maybe insight into what's going on through all this stuff. So I love podcasts. I want to see that. And what about like a post game show through their own channels? Why can't they be doing that on like a live, like an Instagram live or Twitter, or like we're doing on Twitter?
Yeah, I think it's really practical to have a post game live. I think that would be really dope. I don't know if that's where their heads are at, but I think that would be really great. Because like you said, I love when the player can tell their own stories, because so much, especially traditional media, they try to skew their words. They try to like formulate their own like narrative. Like you see what's happening on Twitter with the Wubble. Everybody's trying to create their own narrative. But if the players are sitting there telling me, like I just remember when I saw that video on Twitter, and I was talking to a couple of my friends who were in the Wubble, they're like, well, that's not my experience. But you see the media pushing just that story, and that story was very valid and very real. But if the players could get to and do a weekly podcast or like a every other day situation, we won't have to guess. There will be nothing that can gain traction that we'll have to be like, I wonder how this is going, because we'll know. And I think that's really cool. Like, and it gives them practice, especially because the women aren't set up to be like their money isn't set up so that they can just not do anything the rest of their lives. So if you start a podcast or if you start a vlog, that's setting you up for the next step in your career. Like after you stop playing basketball.
Totally. One of my favorite podcasts or athlete podcasts of all time was when Richard Jefferson and Channing Frye started road tripping during, I think it was 2016, right? During their run. That was so informative. And then but they're obviously really good and they're really talented and funny and stuff. And just they're kind of bouncing around off each other. It was great. But then they would be on an airplane and they would just bring LeBron in for a couple minutes and talk. And it was just like you never get that kind of inside access, which I think every single team and athlete could be doing there in the Wubble.
I agree. And podcasts are so low lift. I remember me and my friend Camille picked up another sports platform. We got drunk in Connecticut and recorded Wine in the W, and it got like 10,000 listens. And we didn't expect anything from it. Like it went from Anchor, and then because of the views or the listens, it went to all these other platforms. And I'm like, well, we didn't expect this, but it's that low lift. I just put my little voice memos and uploaded it.
Yeah. That's simple.
It's that easy. And I don't think people realize it's that easy.
Yeah. Yep. And why couldn't but that shows like realness and like they can associate, and like why couldn't they do it if it's a night off? You know, if they're doing a watch party and there's recording them talking about the actual game going on, or maybe they're having a happy hour themselves or something, and they just show their fun personality and behind the scenes stuff. Like why couldn't you do that? You know? And
then that creates fandom. If you fall in love with the player's personality, you're going to want to follow them in general. And that's what my whole purpose of like why I started journalism. I like to tell players stories, like in general. And I come from a cheerleading background. I never played basketball. So the way I fell in love with basketball was the player personality. So if you have players that can appeal to different types of people will latch onto them, then they'll support you, and then you'll make more money. Like that's just it. That is what it is.
Yeah. That's what we try to build with the athletes we work with, is like show personality, be authentic to you, and grow from there. Like my favorite players growing up were Allen Iverson and Dennis Rodman. It wasn't Michael Jordan Allen Iverson's one of the best players, I guess, too. But like I had a vibe and attitude I liked. But everybody's different, and you're relatable to somebody. If you're the quiet person, you're just talking to somebody. If you're Nick Chubb in the NFL, who doesn't say a word, he's the nicest guy ever by all accounts. That's so relatable to so many people that are like, that's me. Like I'm that dude. But maybe I'm not an elite NFL player, but I'm the guy or girl who doesn't talk a whole lot, and I'm quiet. I just want to be a nice person. Like there's a market for that. If you show us that you are that, we can get behind it.
I agree. I mean, you have players like you have a Courtney Williams who's like, she's like a little partier, and we love to see it. Like I just love her personality. Then you have Liz Cambage, who's like dubbed like the bad guy sometimes, but I love that she really embraces herself and is very cognizant about the ups and the downs that she feels. Then you have like a Stewie who's kind of quiet, but she's an activist, and she's really good, so that helps too. You just have so many different personalities. You have Ariel Powers, who's fun, she's cute, and she's a gamer. So that gaming personality comes through. And there's something for everybody in the league, and that's what I really, really hope people see. Like, there's a player for you out there. there really is. There's so many. There's a wide range.
I think this whole like Wubble and Bubble and all these things can be an equalizer too. Like you're saying, like all you really need to do at this point is grab the attention from somebody to say, "Oh, I like that person," to draw them in to watch the game or whatever it might be. And Pat and I have talked about this before. Is we feel that there should be that more, and there is a little bit with the NBA and WNBA and the crossover and stuff. But like, why not have watch parties or virtual watch party, because they're going through the same thing right now? Or why not have that interaction? I know you talked about the one time, like, who would you have in the WNBA on your team? Like, those types of things are kind of like cool to see in the crossover and promote each other during this time, because there's a lot of people looking for something to watch. Why not be, whether it's a vlog or something, that's cool. But the end game is like, let's buy that person and then buy the league. You know what I mean? So I feel like this is evil.
We saw how big of an impact. We did a virtual watch party a couple months ago, and it was like the first one from quarantine, and it huge response. And so, like, if the players lead something like, "Hey, we're going live all together," that would be really dope. And I'm pretty sure, because the WNBA fan base is very nosy, like they just love to be involved in every bit of the players' lives. So they would tune in. Like, they would tune in. Media, we're always trying to figure out how to get in, because our access sometimes is just not that we don't have the access. So we're going to be tuned in. So there's like a lot of different aspects to like why the players need to do this, but it's a matter of like their comfort level and just learning that it doesn't have to. Not everything has to be a huge production, because there are some players that are just technologically not there. But like, it takes nothing to press record on your voice memos.
Yeah,
nothing to post on.
Yeah, and nobody in the league is 60. Like, you've been dealing with your phone most of the time you've grown up. You've had a phone. So you understand how to press play. You understand how to hit the memo button. Like, there's not that excuse. But I do think where I think the issue is when we've talked to athletes is they don't see the value today. They're not getting paid dollars for their first podcast they create. And some could set it up where they could and build brand partnerships beforehand. But they won't. A lot of people, a lot of athletes in general, this isn't WNBA specifically, but a lot of athletes don't see the immediate dollars and then go away. Or they put up their first podcast and it's not 10,000 like you said, it's 700, and they're like, what am I doing this for? They don't see the long-term value that those 700 people went to listen to something you've never done before. And those are 700 people that, let's say you come out with a merch line or a concept tee like the Wubble. You should be selling those, like the Wubble tees. When that comes out, that those 700 people are going to be the types that are going to go buy. You sell 700 T-shirts at $15 a pop. Let me do some math real quick. What is that? Like 10 grand. That's a good percentage of what you're going to make in a year playing the WNBA. So there's those types of things that I think a lot of people don't see the immediate impact and then are shied away from the jump.
I think a lot of people don't realize how lucrative social media can be in general. Like, even if you don't want to do a podcast, you can align with partners that will pay you to post on Instagram. There's just so many options, so many options. Like, especially if I'm a player who's already verified on Instagram, that has a huge following, or like not even huge, like that has like a cute little 15K, just go and leverage that. There are so many companies that want to pay you to post, and it's just a matter of just knowing that exists out there. I think that the players don't realize that exists for them.
Yeah,
you're right. And like creating those opportunities, like we said, like that happy hour or watch party that you're doing, you know how many brands could sponsor that? Thousands of them could. And it's a quick, easy product placement. Tag them on it. I appreciate the support. Let's do the next one next Friday. And done.
And I also think that's like the agent's job to remind them too, because like those that are under an agency that might be a little bit more tight than that. It's just aligning with your proper agent too, because a lot of agents are very not willing to let their client do a lot of things too. That's something that we can't overlook.
Yeah. There's that, and that's one aspect of it for sure. The two is a lot of agents don't care to make whatever their 15% off of a $5,000 deal. It's not worth it for them to propose and do and put in the effort. And three, some just don't really get social media still, even though it's been a viable platform and moneymaker for lots of people for the last handful of years, for lots of management and agent teams. And that's why we even got into this space, is because people didn't get it. So how can we help the athletes we work with get it, profit, make money, that kind of deal? Exactly.
And that's why I would encourage especially younger players to like know what's in the palm of their hands when they have their phone. Even like outside of a sports realm, outside of an athlete realm, like a lot of young journalists ask me how to get started. I got discovered by my Twitter. Like that's how I have a 9 to 5 now. That's like literally because I had friends that played in the league and I went to their hotel rooms, put my phone up, recorded them, and posted it on Twitter and YouTube. That's how I got my following. And I didn't do it through a formal training. Yes, I have a degree in English and a degree in journalism, but I didn't do anything that the school taught me in regards to like distributing content. I literally just did it on my own. So I tell a lot of younger people that want to be in positions with either bigger networks or like bigger companies, or just want to make money off of theirs, like you have all the tools that you need right in the palm of your hand, right there.
Yep. Within arm's length at almost all times. And maybe not in the shower, maybe like that. So you take a few minutes off, but that's how I am. Yeah, true. But even, yeah, right. Even for you going to journalism school, like whatever you learned there in journalism school, you probably learned some general notes and integrity. And
I don't even know about the transmission model of communication. I'll never apply that to anything.
Exactly. That so much stuff. And that's, I told you, we talked to a college team earlier today, and we've talked to 35, 40 at this point, is teaching them how to make money off their name, image, likeness in college. So when they do go to the pros, or if they don't go to the pros and they want to be a journalist, teach them about those opportunities outside of what they're doing either on the court or field or ice or whatever their sport is.
Well, I just want to rewind and remind people that the curriculum, if you're a communications major, constantly shifts. Back in 2009 when I was in college, we were learning Facebook. Like Instagram didn't exist. Yeah. Like we were learning Facebook and maybe Twitter like on Tuesdays. Like it wasn't like if you would have taken that curriculum and tried to do it here, everybody would look at you like you're crazy. But people that want to do it, I would just say don't wait for somebody to tell you how to do it, and do it the way you think that you should, the way that feels real to you, because that's going to offer something different than every other classically trained journalist. Like have those tools that you learned from your degree, have those, baseline like conventional journalism tactics, but like have them in your back pocket, but present yourself in a way that is very authentic to you, so that you don't have to switch it up for anybody and people know what to expect coming from you. And it's something so unique to you that will have to go to your page to see it. Yeah.
I love it. That's what it should be.
Yeah, I think this could be even like going back to like the equalizer. I think it's equalizer for like that whole industry too, because you guys don't have tons of access. You can't go in the stadiums right now. You can't. You don't get that. So there could be that opportunity where people are like, I don't know. I'm 15 years old and I want to get in this space. I'm just going to DM a bunch of WNBA athletes and start my own show myself because I got just as much access.
Yeah, because like people don't realize that's literally all it takes. Yeah. Like I get like I don't even know how many DMs a day, and I try to respond to them all. But like, imagine the kid that wanted a mentor that never did reach out, or the kid that wants to interview a WNBA player and didn't think it was possible for them to respond, so they just never did. That's just a waste of time in life. Just being afraid if they say no. Like the worst thing that they can do is leave you on red.
Right? Yeah.
Then it goes south. But whatever. The worst thing you can do is like leave you on red. So these kids have nothing to lose. Nothing to lose.
Yeah. And even for what we do, I want to say every, or at least almost every partnership we have with an athlete is Instagram based. We either, or I guess Twitter at this point, Instagram or Twitter, we send a DM or message, or they happen to see something that we posted, and that's how this whole thing started. But even to shift it to a WNBA type thing is how can, like, let's say you do start that podcast thing, why can't you use your leverage as a WNBA player to get all the top athletes on other sports and have them come on your podcast or vlog with you, or, there's all those relationships that now you can use to leverage and grow your brand through that.
I agree. And I think that especially the sisterhood that the WNBA is to the NBA, that's light work. That's light work.
Yeah.
All of them are verified. They have to go through that, like through the league anyway, for when they go to the league. So it's going to pop up in people's DMs. It's going to be very visible, even if you don't know the athlete or talent that you want to work with your podcast. And then a lot of them have agents that can get other players anyway. So you might as well use that leverage. It's there. It exists.
No doubt.
What would you do? Like, you get the game, you get social media, you have knowledge base. What would you do outside of podcast, blog, if you're in the Wubble, as whether you're trying to build a brand, generate revenue, whatever? What would you do?
Well, I come from a still shot type of thing. I would just be an Instagram heavy. I'm not gonna lie. I don't like blogs. Blogs aren't my thing. But I know a lot of people that do. Like, I don't care to see people eating, and I don't care about their day. I need like content, like I do juicy content, or like a curated piece, or an interview. I like talking head pieces a lot. But yeah, even those, there are people out there like me who like talking head pieces. Interview your friends. Like, literally interview your friends. Or IG Live is a huge way to not only like get stuff out, but like that can increase your following too if you have the connectivity. Like, say, okay, I'll just use these people because they're my like Turner fam. Say Candace wants to talk to D Wade. That's like your brother, and you can leverage his audience, and his audience comes to you, and now they know about you, even though everybody knows Candace Parker anyway. But like, that's just the way to do it.
Yeah, lots of people do know her, but lots more people know D Wade, and some of D Wade's following probably never even heard of Candace Parker. As crazy as that sounds.
Which is sad.
There's all, I mean, yes, it is. But there's also people who don't know who D Wade is, even though that he has 5 million followers. And, there's somebody in my family that might not know who D Wade is. Maybe my girl's grandpa or something's like, I don't know who D Wade is. There are people that don't know. So and especially 5 years or 2 years from now, as he leaves the game further. But even like I said, with using D Wade and Candace, like how could she grow and not just get an extra 12,000 followers or 2,000, 1,000 followers, but those are now potentially 1,000 buying customers for you to be able to sell whatever you're selling or do whatever you're doing, or invest in viewership when you're doing something.
Outside of the vlogs and stuff, like, I think that the way, especially because you want to connect to a younger audience right now, while it's not banned, do the TikToks. That's the best way to go viral, because they have the loosest algorithm anyway. Like, before it gets completely shut out the country. But like, one of my friends posted a video of combing her grandma's hair. It went viral. She got 100,000 followers overnight, and she's always wanted to be a beauty influencer, so now that's what she does. Like, it's crazy. It can happen that fast. Instagram's not set up for that. They don't realize Instagram's not set up for that, because it's a little too behind the curve for that. But you can also, because you already have a following as a player, you can utilize Instagram. But I think that TikTok right now, like today, July 10th, is the easiest way to just go viral and just get your presence out there, like, for a younger generation.
Yeah. TikTok's been so great for so many people, especially when we hit quarantine and a lot of people jump to TikTok.
Yeah. I'm trash at it. I can't even act like I'm good at it at all. I just don't get on the For You page. I just give up. But like, Twitter's my gold mine. Twitter is my gold mine. I just love Twitter because I'm ridiculous and my opinions are just so outlandish sometimes that it's just like, there you go.
Yeah. And that's, again, why I found you and why I liked you. But I do think there's more opportunities too, like all the stuff, content we're talking about, but even just basic social media hacks for growth. Like, your team posts something, go on for 5 minutes and talk to the fans commenting on there and comment back to their questions that are positive. You don't have to get engaged with the negative stuff, but comment and say, hey, appreciate the support, or yeah, that was fun, or whatever the thing was. Like, go in there and talk to them. I'd like to see more like takeovers and stuff too.
Takeovers are great. They're great.
Yeah. Like, whether it's
I do think very understated how important it is to respond to people. I think that's so key. That's where I think a lot of people miss when they don't respond to people, because that just adds the humanity behind it, and it just like keeps your name is going to be shown more. And people are going to be like, oh my God, she's so cool. Like, she talked to me. I'm a fan. So.
Yeah, use like Candace Parker as an instance. If you comment on Candace Parker's page and she comments back, hey, appreciate the support, there's a lot of people that are going to screenshot that. They're going to text that to their friends. That's going to go on their Instagram story. Like, that's a big damn deal just to be like, appreciate the support. Took 3 seconds for her to post that. Like, that's how big and important a lot of these athletes are, and the pedestal they're on for a lot of people too.
I completely agree. And it's low lift. That's the key. It's low lift to just respond. Yeah,
that's why I say 10, 15 minutes is like, you're in and out. It doesn't need to be an all-day thing. You don't have to be – I mean, you're on Twitter all day. We don't have to be you. Yeah, they don't have to be you. But
I'm lucky that my 9 to 5 is literally social. So that's like it's my job to be on Twitter. But they love that I have my own identity. I think that's just really dope.
Yeah, I dig it too. What do you think? You're watching. I'm looking at my notes here. Tori Miller promoted to the general manager of the College Park Skyhawks in the NBA G League of the Atlanta Hawks. How cool is that?
I think it's dope. I think that any space where you can be an innovator and open up the door for other women, especially Black women, it's just amazing. Be that pioneer. And it's so sad that it's the first and only. It's just really confusing why it's 2020 and they're still having first, but relatively new league. We're going to give them some grace, but she's showing people that she can be that representation. Like, they can look and say, hey, I can do that. I have other friends in G League, like Megan McPeak. She's the only woman and person of color in play-by-play. Then you have Amber Nichols, who she's young and upcoming, and she's with Go-Go too, under Pop. And so there are just so many women making so many great moves that are just – I just love seeing the representation. Shout out to my sisters.
Yeah. There's not a better time than now to do that. There just isn't.
I mean, do it. Companies are feeding for that diversity right now. Like, if nothing else, capitalism off of it.
Yeah, they a lot of them are lip service, and they want to at least show the faces.
That's fine. Yep. Like, I'll take that, because what's happening right now is the companies are feeling guilty. They're letting us in these spaces, even though we've been trying to bust through. But I think that, like, nobody's expecting us to come in there and like loaf around. Like, literally, women work hard, period. Right. So once we get that, the chance to show out, I'm sure that it's just going to lead to way more.
Yeah, it will. And
you first, when that came out and it was like the first, I was like, that nobody's done that before as a GM.
Yeah,
wild.
Yeah, opportunity, tons of opportunity. I do think too. Last thing on the Wubble, we'll get off here and you can get back on Twitter. I think
we are on Twitter. We are on Twitter now.
It didn't live stream. It didn't whatever. But now you're going to have more eyeballs than ever on games, and you're getting that with every sport. With what was it with marbles? I saw some marbles video had a million views.
The marble tournaments.
Yeah,
I have not. Oh my God. I have not seen the marble tournaments because right now I'm binging other things, but I agree with you. And then people are fiending for sports. Yeah. They are like, we need them. So
yeah, I'm excited to see who's going to be different around what they're doing, and really, really understand what the opportunity is. It's not just a regular season. It's nothing like a regular season anyway, but understanding what this potential can mean for you long term, not just you win some games, win a championship. That's great. But how can you engage fans, engage your community, build an audience, build a brand outside the sport, but use all of these new eyeballs? Because you'll have your eyeballs you've had, but now you're going to get all these people that are just tuning in because it's a sporting event. Like, how can you capture them? And that's from a player standpoint, but also from a team and a league perspective too, is how can you capture us as people? I'm not a regular WNBA fan. I I mean, I'll watch it. Same thing with NBA. I usually watch like playoffs, but I've got a 9-month-old and I got a lot of shit I'm doing anyway. But so how can you capture me to get me to sit down and not be on my phone? Or if I am on my phone, I'm tweeting about it, but sit down and engage and watch and learn something about Candace I didn't know, or learn something about player Y that I didn't know. And now I care because they're from Cleveland, Ohio, or their sister went to the same school as me, or whatever the thing is, to find that engagement point to keep me and other people around for the long term. I
agree. I mean, I think that they have just ample opportunity because they have so much dead time, downtime. And I think that they really should just start channeling the younger generation because the younger generation has less like misogyny ingrained in them. And they never had to live without the WNBA. They never had to live without women actually playing sports. So that's a unique opportunity to, appeal to them, just so the kids can be like, oh my gosh, she's cool, and never have to worry about that bias against women in the game.
Yeah.
What I want to see is the game within the game, where it's, we got Xbox, PlayStation tournaments on the side. Them.
That's what Ariel Powers is doing. She is having a 2K tournament in the Wubble.
Yeah, that's what I want to see. I want to see multiple tournaments because that shows personality. It brings in that younger generation that can just sit and watch and communicate. And then maybe you go male-female tournaments too, where they're playing, and just cross the exposure type thing. But that's what I want to see, the game within the game.
I have to shout out Ariel Powers for that because she is on Twitch all the time. All the time. The Twitch home screen gives me anxiety, so I am not on Twitch all the time. But she's on there streaming a lot. Alexis Jones streams a lot. She's really involved in gaming, especially now that 2K's added the WNBA. That's, another thing that the players have gotten over the years that wasn't available to them before. So, yeah, you're completely right. The gaming space is just – there's so many opportunities, and it was a way to connect people during quarantine. So I know there are a lot more gamers now than there were even back in March.
Totally. And they could generate a lot of money too, even from that. Like you partner with like a FanDuel or a DraftKings and just to have them throw it up there, and that's a sponsorship for the thing that they're doing anyways,
Exactly.
Lots of opportunity here. Hopefully a lot of ladies can take advantage of that and really grow, and really it'll be interesting to see in 2 months from now who are the people that really capitalize from the Wubble and this rebrand and relaunch, and see who can take advantage, not just from a playing perspective, but all this other stuff. How can they engage and take their brand to the next level?
I agree.
Ari, we appreciate your time. Thank you. Let's get back to tweeting. I'll be on there too. We'll send you a bunch of stuff here. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Of course. Thank you.